Good afternoon and welcome back to the FreeMelon Society. I'm Eli Martyr. Thank you so much for joining me here once again in the secret classroom. Today is going to be fun because we're going to be talking about some health esoterica, okay, from the occult perspective. We'll also touch on some elemental metaphysics regarding water and how water is this wonderful universal solvent and talk about what that means for us. Now, several videos ago, I had put up a lecture on the skin and cleanliness, okay? So cleansing the skin, a bathing routine. So I was talking about the skin and just keeping the skin healthy, okay? So today what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit deeper and investigate what's happening in the subtle bodies when we bathe, when we take showers, or when we take baths. So I'm going to be trying to distill some of the teachings of one of my favorite instructors, favorite mentors, Max Heindel. He has a rich body of literature that deals with health esoterica and occult science. So I'm going to be trying to distill some of his teachings on this, condense it into a little bite-sized video so that you can learn something today. So buckle up, sit tight, and let's jump back into the secret classroom here on the FreeMelon Society. So I'm sure there's some people out there that have noticed that when you bathe in warm water or hot water, it's sometimes accompanied by a bit of fatigue, okay? I'm sure someone's noticed that out there. Many people have. It's a very common experience. If you have some sort of condition that you're dealing with, neuropathy or fibromyalgia, these can be exacerbated by something as simple as bathing. Anyway, there seems to be some sort of connection between bathing and fatigue, particularly if we're bathing in warm water. So what is that connection? So let's just remind everyone that all vital stimuli, so the stimuli that are vital for life, eating, breathing, drinking, okay? Vital stimuli, all vital stimuli that are necessary for life, these can all be taken in excess. And when taken in excess, they turn into things that are harmful. Sunlight is essential. You can take too much sun and get a sunburn, okay? You get the idea. Water is the same thing. We've all heard that water can kill you, water being essential for life, but if you take too much, you can actually die if you drink way too much water, okay? So it's just a reminder that excess is a real thing, even with stimuli that are beneficial and necessary for life, okay? Now, some general principles to know ahead of time. If you've read some literature in the esoteric philosophy realm, then some of this might sound familiar. And I've talked about this type of thing in other videos as well. But one thing we have to know before we proceed on with this lecture is we have to know that we have, besides our physical body, we have our other bodies. We have an etheric body, which is the closest to the physical of the subtle bodies. And then we have an emotional body and a mental body and so on and so forth in a higher and higher scales of vibratory rate. The etheric body, the one closest to our physical, is the connecting link between our emotional body or the astral body, right? Synonymous terms. It's the link between those two things. So impressions from your emotional body, they are translated through the etheric into your physical. Okay, without that link, you wouldn't be able to experience anything emotionally, okay? Because that body wouldn't be able to interface with the physical properly. It needs like a link, just like a chain. It needs a link, and that is that link, the etheric body. There's also another very important principle to recognize, and that is the blood. Max Heindel always stresses the importance of the blood and how the blood is the physical expression of the ego. The blood, the red blood of life. It is the translation in physical terms of what the ego is in the higher abstract realities. So when the energy of the ego coalesces into physicality, that coalescence, its expression in physicality is the red blood of life. So the blood and the ego, these work in conjunction with one another. They are expressions of each other, okay? Now, as it turns out, high heat drives the ego out of the blood, all right? Now, we'll talk about what I mean by that, okay? Let me say that again. High heat, high amount of heat causes a separation to occur. It makes the ego's connection to the blood flimsier and more difficult to stay connected. And so the ego, sorry, I shouldn't use the term ego, you might get the wrong idea. When I say ego, think of the personality, right? The individual themselves, in their mentality, in their psyche. Think of that as the ego, all right? I don't mean it in the pejorative sense. It's not like oh, he's so egotistical. Don't think along those wavelengths. Think more just the individual, okay? Their thinking and their mentality. So heat makes it more difficult for the ego to be expressed in the blood and to stay connected to the living stream. If you've ever been in a sauna, something that I like to do myself, okay? If you've ever been in a sauna and someone cranked up the heat way too much and now the heat's intense, okay, you'll notice something. It's hard to concentrate in a sauna, right? Many of you have experienced this as well. When the heat is up, yeah, you can relax. Yeah, you can definitely relax and you can enjoy it. But the more the heat goes up, you find that it's harder to concentrate. There's some blockage, there's some element that just makes it very, very difficult to hold steady, calm, concentrated thought. And it's because the heat is impairing that connection. I say impairing, this isn't a lasting effect. This is just a chemical thing. It's just a temporary thing for the time that the heat is on. Okay, now let's talk about water very quickly. Water has a very high affinity for ether. Ether being the subtle energies that are available everywhere in the atmosphere around us. The subtle energy behind the visible things and even the atmosphere itself. The medium in which the atmosphere itself is encased, is bathed. So it turns out that water, now you've heard water is a universal solvent, okay? We've all heard that before, yes? Water is the universal solvent. What you may not have heard is that water is a universal solvent for more than just physical things. It's a solvent for energies as well. It has a high affinity to ether. It's almost like this solvent of etheric energies, which would help us explain where we see this connection between water and it having a type of memory, right? You put some DNA into a glass of water, for example, and you remove the DNA from the water will bear a memory of the DNA that was once inside of it, even though the DNA has been removed. So the water has imprinted the signature of the DNA in the water structure itself. And so water has this interesting ability to hold on to information. So according to Max Heindel, water has a very high affinity to the etheric medium of creation. Now, what does that mean for bathing? Well, here's the interesting takeaway from this. Max Heindel introduces us to the idea that bathing too much can rob your body of the strength of its ether. You will weaken your etheric body. It will become thin and tenuous if you bathe too much. Because of the high affinity that water has to ether, it will attach itself to the etheric substance of your vital body, your etheric or vital body. Those are synonymous terms. And this might be something that is devitalizing you and you never knew it. Now, what happens in a normal, healthy body is that a normal, healthy body will go and take a shower, whatever, in the evening, okay? And then they won't shower again until the next evening, maybe, or even the next day after. Let's just say the etheric body will get eroded, will become thin and tenuous after the shower in the evening. But then the healthy body will recover and will reconstitute that etheric shell. And that's the flow. That's the typical flow. The water strips off a bit of etheric matter, and then your body recovers. That's how it works in a healthy person. However, like anything else that you do in excess, if you bathe too often, and particularly with hot water, what will happen is that excessive bathing will constantly keep the etheric body thin and tenuous. And if your etheric body is thin and tenuous and devitalized, you will also be devitalized. because our power to move and think and to be energized, these all come from our subtle bodies and trickle down and coalesce into the physical. Like the physical is the lowest of these vehicles. So if your energy bodies are weak, the physical body will be weak. You can take that home to the bank, right? Which is the reason why healthy practices, which improve your vital force, immediately make you healthier, because you improve the strength of your subtle bodies, and then this affects the physical. Now, as a shower strips off this ether, this is a good thing because it strips off what Heindel calls the poisonous ether. Just like you can get dirty physically by rolling around in the muck or whatever it is you're doing, just like you can do that physically, well, we exist in a sea of people's thoughts and emotions, and a lot of these thoughts and emotions are stressed and angers and hatreds and different types of traumatic mental energies. We're swimming around in a sea of these things. Even your own bad thoughts can result in etheric energies that are less pure, less clean. And so water helps to strip away that poisonous ether, and then it soon recovers. This is a good thing, but if it's done in excess, it can weaken and devitalize you. Interesting takeaway to this would be, if you're trying to recover from some condition, one thing you might want to consider is not bathing as often, and I'll get to the implications, just bear with me, and dry brushing instead. When you dry brushing does not remove the etheric layer. It only removes the dead skin and the dead cells and what Heindel calls the poisonous cuticle from the topmost layer of the skin. And it allows the skin to breathe well. It's a shower, basically. And by dry brushing, you spare the ether from becoming tenuous and thin from the water, because water has that affinity to ether. And so you prevent that from happening. So if you were to avoid bathing for more than several hours, for a couple days, and you were to dry brush instead of shower, you might find that you're cultivating more energy, interestingly. Don't get the wrong idea here. I'm not suggesting that everybody go out and stop showering, okay? Please don't be extreme. Look, I get it, you're the average person out there, you need beer and wings on the weekend, sure. Maybe you had a day off and you made the unprincipled decision to head to Candy's Flesh Bar on Filthy Friday. And you mercilessly polluted your precious system with a whole slew of toxic drinks, ended up heading home with some sultry slattern named Esmeralda.
How dare you!
Maybe you woke up in the morning and found to your surprise that there's a massive white button mushroom growing out of your urethra. Okay, fine. If that's your situation, please go and take a shower, all right? I'm not saying that if you went to Candy's Flesh Bar and on Filthy Friday, that you shouldn't shower. No, shower, okay. But in the general scheme of things, and this applies more particularly to my FreeMelon initiates out there who are living the healthy lifestyle, who are adopting the raw food diet, okay, living correctly. This is one of those things that I would imagine tends to apply more so to that crowd. Because if you're eating cooked and processed foods, it's going to be more likely that you require showers more often, because that's just the nature of it. You put into your body things that create many toxic residues, and it might be necessary to shower more often. People that adopt the raw food diet notice that smells and foul odors, they aren't nearly as much of a reality for them as it was when they were cooked food and processed food eaters. Lots of people have this experience. So this whole lecture might be more geared towards that side of the fence, okay, if you understand. But nevertheless, this is a very interesting principle that helps us make sense of a phenomenon that a lot of us experience on a day-to-day, okay? Something I forgot to mention very quickly. I'm sure people are going to be wondering about the water temperature. So let's just say you want to rinse off. You've been sweating a lot and you just want a really, really quick rinse off. You don't want to be devitalized in any way. How can you mitigate that? Well, the one thing that you can do is you can not bathe for very long. You can just literally soak in and out very quickly. But the other major thing you can do is not have hot water. Okay, not to bathe in hot water. Use cool to lukewarm water. And then just rinse yourself off, scrub with your hands and just get the water everywhere. Then that's it, right? Cool water or lukewarm water is fine as well. And don't spend much time in the shower. Just rinse off and that's it. When I say cool water, this does not mean you have to jump into freezing cold water. That's not what it means. I'm not talking about ice water. I'm not talking at all about that whole thing, that whole culture of ice baths and ice bathing and how tough you can be by enduring, freezing cold water temperature. I'm not talking about that. So just cool water is really it. It's the heat that I imagine that really compounds the feeling of being lethargic after a hot shower, warm shower. So you can mitigate that by using cool water and just splashing it on your body. Right? Get in and out, and then that's it. So, in summary, when you bathe with water, water has a high affinity to ether, and it will remove the poisonous ether from your body. In normal conditions, you recover from that and off you go. However, if you bathe in excess, you will always whittle down the strength of your etheric body and it will devitalize you. So you shouldn't bathe too often. When you dry brush, you don't remove the poisonous ether from your etheric energy field, but you do remove the uppermost physical dead layer of riffraff from your skin. So you clean your skin that way, preserving the integrity of the etheric body, which would result in a stronger energy field, right? Without that temporary weakening, which might be another energy sparing behavior that someone who's trying to recover from something might be interested in adopting. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I thought that was just an interesting subject to broach, something that you can consider and think about. Let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas relating to the subject. And that's going to be it for now. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me here in the secret classroom. And we'll see you next time here on the FreeMelon Society. Mwah. Take care, guys.